Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Good, good. What's up, Julia? How you doing?
I'm good. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Clapback Culture. I'm Jules Jessie, and I'm with my co-host, my bro, Mike Davis from the South Seattle Emerald. And we're here to clap back at a couple topics. So first and foremost, let me wish you a happy new year because we're not going to talk before the new year. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out. Happy New Year to everybody who's watching. I mean, 2020 was a hell of a year. So I'm just glad to still be standing. What about you?
Same here, same here. I'm glad to turn this corner. Hopeful for next year. We're gonna be here next year. Shout out to everyone for supporting us. We've had a lot of support, so thank y'all. And yeah, we're gonna keep it rolling next year for real.
We are. So let's keep the show rolling. First of all, make sure you guys subscribe. Become one of our subscribers and supporters to Converge Media. We can't do this if we don't have your small donations. Something as small as $5 keeps us going. Go ahead and use that stimulus check. Go ahead and pop in and be a supporter. So some of those stimulus checks hit, Mike. Did yours come in yet?
No, it didn't, but I heard they're here. I'm waiting.
They are. So I heard a couple people, they had it pending in their transaction. So shout out to Baby Federal because a lot of them already got it. But
look, I voted this year, so I feel like my stimmy should have been first. I don't know what's up, but
voters should get their stimulus check first.
We can jump the line.
Well, speaking of jumping the line, I know we're going to get into a little bit about the COVID-19 vaccines. Vice President Kamala Harris went and got her vaccine. She actually got it here in Southeast DC at United Medical Center, UMC. It's I was trying to think, what is the Seattle equivalent to like the worst hospital ever? And that's it. And so to me, it just makes it even worse that she jumped out here and got the vaccine at United Medical Center. I'm just like, girl, here you go. Anyway, we have a quick clip. Let's play the clip.
Ready? I'm ready. That was easy. Thank you.
There's no bleeding.
I barely felt it. I barely felt it.
Awesome. I will put the phone down. And we are all right.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Nurse Patricia. Thank you. Well, I want to thank United Medical Center for the work that you do in Southeast DC, serving a community that is often overlooked. So it is good to be here. And I have now been vaccinated. As Joe likes to say, there's a big difference between the vaccine and vaccinations. I want to encourage everyone to get the vaccine. It is relatively painless. It happens really quickly. It is safe. The Moderna, the Pfizer today, I had the Moderna vaccine. My husband is going to have it today as well. I look forward to getting the second vaccine. And literally, this is about saving lives. It's literally about saving lives. I trust the scientists. And it is the scientists who created and approved this vaccine. So I urge everyone, when it is your turn, get vaccinated. It's about saving your life, the life of your family members, and the life of your community. And so thank you, and let's all just do what we need to do to stay healthy and safe this holiday season and every day of the year. Thank
you. Mike, you ready to do your part?
I mean, I'm just trying not to laugh here. For the people that watched the show last time, you know, we talked a lot about this, just the all show, no tell. But seeing her do this, it takes me in my mind back to the time after George Floyd, when all the Democrats put on the kente cloths and then they went and took a knee instead of like going and working on some legislation and giving us some actual reform. It's like, that's not what we need to see. But her words here is what really jumps out at me when she's speaking about science and how she trusts the scientists. And I just find it funny how Trump did so much work on white folks to make them not trust science. Like, we don't trust doctors because doctors are racist. But now white folks don't trust science either. So how's this vaccine going to be effective if everybody is afraid? And the Trump administration played a big part in making people not trust scientists. That being said, I'm not here for it. I'm not here to see her take the vaccine. There's so much other work that she could be doing. She should be out here fighting to boost that STEMI from 600 back to that 2Gs. Don't be out here taking shots. And I mean, I'm hearing millions and millions of camera clicks, man. This is a photo op. We don't need you to do photo ops. We need you to go to your office and get some actual work done.
Mm-hmm. Well, a little bit about the vaccine. She took the Moderna vaccine. They're saying it's about 94% effective to treat COVID-19 in terms of what they studied in the clinical trials. Again, not pushing for folks to do it, but encouraging individuals to make their own decision on what they decide to do. And 94% is good in terms of talking about the level of effectiveness. The vaccine, both the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine, come in 2 phases. So you get the first one, and then about 20 to 28 days later, you get the second shot in order for it to work. So that's a lot of follow up, right? So you just can't get the one, and it's not one and done. And so you get that follow up.
Because from what I've heard, people have gotten the first shot and then gotten COVID without like really realizing that you have to get both shots to get that 94%. If you only get one, you're not in the clear just yet.
You know what's interesting, Mike? I never thought about if you get the first one and then you catch COVID in between that roughly 30-day period, what does that look like, right? So, right, that's actually something to think about. So you do have to get that second vaccine, that second dose, rather, to make it just as effective. My aunt, she got the vaccine last week as well. She's in Alabama, the state of Alabama, and she works at a food bank, and they're, treating a lot of she's kind of seen as a frontline worker. And so she got it, and she said, she's doing good. Her arm is a little bit sore. Again, to each his own. I think if you have a conversation with your doctor, if you feel like this is something that you need to do to protect yourself, do it. If you feel like this is not something you necessarily need, and you're willing to continue to quarantine yourself, wear your mask, wash your hands, wipe down surfaces, disinfect, all those good things, I think you should continue to do that despite. But if this is something you want to do, educate yourself, have a conversation with your doctors, and know that there is limitations in the clinical trials, right? And so I am in full agreement with you that I really, I'm not really interested in celebritizing this need to go jump out there and get the vaccine, and how we're using celebrities and public officials to kind of promote it in a sense. It's just it makes it, I just don't like that, right? I feel like we should be having more medical professionals be the advocates and kind of talk about this. And to your point, Mike, you're right. There's a lot of distress that's come from this Trump administration to make us feel like this is not safe. I'm not safe in the hands of the Trump administration. I'm not safe with the now Republican Party. And so why should I, forfeit my body to try to jump out here and get the vaccine? So me personally, I'm not going to be in this first wave of getting the vaccine, but as I said before, maybe later down the line, I might get it.
Yeah, I won't be in that first wave either. And to be real, I don't even think I would have the option to be in the first wave, because this government doesn't really have a solid plan for the states to even distribute the vaccines that we have right now. I mean, I've even seen reports of vaccines pushing expiration dates, just sitting on shelves because there's not a plan for distribution. And then on the topic of trust and mistrust, I'm not trying to speed the show up, but we're going to have a clip coming from a Black woman who is a doctor who was in the hospital for COVID. And we're going to talk about how she was treated. And that goes hand in hand with Part of the reason why I personally do not trust these medical professionals with my body.
Well, I think it's perfect time to just go ahead and roll that clip.
An Indiana hospital is promising a full review of the treatment of a black doctor who died from coronavirus just days before Christmas. She is Dr. Susan Moore, a Michigan native. She went viral for her video complaining of racist medical care. Priya Mann shows us the video documents her struggle with one hospital and one doctor in particular.
Dr. Susan Moore got her medical degree from U of M in 2002 and studied engineering at Kettering University in Flint. And for years, Dr. Moore practiced in Grand Rapids. She died in Indiana after recording a viral video highlighting racial bias in healthcare.
I maintain if I was white, I wouldn't have to go through that.
Less than 3 weeks after recording this Facebook video from a hospital bed, Dr. Susan Moore was dead. The 52-year-old woman was admitted to Indiana University Health North Hospital after testing positive for COVID-19. Dr. Moore says her health concerns were dismissed by her doctor, who is white.
This is how black people get killed. When you send them home, and they don't know how to fight for themselves.
Dr. Moore says her doctor told her she didn't qualify for being treated with remdesivir and had to ask repeatedly to get a CT scan. It ultimately showed swelling of the lymph nodes and excess fluid in her lungs.
If they're not going to treat me here properly, send me to another hospital.
Dr. Moore was eventually released, but only for 12 hours. As her condition deteriorated, she was admitted to another hospital, but died from complications due to COVID just days before Christmas.
That is not how you treat patients. Period.
The president and CEO of Indiana University Health released a statement saying in part, like many others, I've watched the video of Dr. Susan Moore that she posted from her bed at our hospital. I'm deeply saddened by her death. I'm even more saddened by the experience she described. At the end of the day, I'm left with the image of a distressed patient who was a member of our own profession. This tragedy will not become a statistic in the COVID-19 crisis, and it will serve as a marker of material improvements for patients of color.
See, it's heartbreaking to see it, especially when you have someone that's a doctor. So if you have a doctor in a hospital and they don't believe her, what makes you believe they're going to believe me? They're going to believe you. I read a little bit more into this, and she said that when she was asking for the medication that she knew she needed, they were trying to treat her like she was a drug addict. And at the end of the day, that's how they see us. So when the Surgeon General is asking LeBron James to get vaccinated so that black people will feel comfortable getting vaccinated, how about the Surgeon General come out and talk about Dr. Susan Moore? Or how about Kamala Harris comes out and talks about Dr. Susan Moore? Don't try to make us look at your celebrity, like everything is good, because there's actual reasons why we feel the way we feel. And somehow nobody ever addresses this. And I'm still waiting to hear somebody say something about this.
And it's been fairly quiet, you know what I'm saying? And I just think, first of all, it just absolutely breaks my heart, you know, to number one, COVID-19 is such a lonely and isolated way to pass. And, you know, she had to fight. She was an internist. And so you're thinking about somebody who is a member of this, you know, healthcare system, who has dedicated her life to being a part of this infrastructure. And she's coming out and speaking truth against the machine. And I just think it's heartbreaking to see somebody who has 100% sacrificed so much, still having to manage through racial biases. I mean, how often have you been in a situation where, you know, you go to the doctor and they're like, you know, you're like, I'm really in pain, and they don't want to prescribe you narcotics because they think you're going to abuse those narcotics, when in fact, you're really actually in pain. I think they even said she had to go get a CT scan to prove that she actually had pain. Why would we think, I mean, number one, it doesn't even matter that she's a physician, right? It should not matter that she's a physician, but even with, let's just put that on the table, since that's the way we're kind of diving into the story. The fact that she is a physician should know that she's taken the same type of oath and pledge that lets you know, like, she's not the type of person to be out here abusing drugs, right? If she's saying she's in pain, give her the proper care, give her the proper medication. I feel like she's a hero for filming herself in such a vulnerable capacity. And she really like recounted her experience and shared her experience with us. And, you know, it really goes to demonstrate the racial biases that exist in our healthcare system. And we have to do more. We have got to do more. And she had to beg for remdesivir, right? And so we have Donald Trump, our seated president, who was pushing and talking about remdesivir, and you can't even get it in hospitals. You know what I'm saying? You can't. That's not even something that you can really get. So, rest in peace to Dr. Susan Moore, and blessings and love to her family during this tragic time. I mean, I'm absolutely heartbroken, over all of this. So,
same here.
I don't know.
Home too. I just had a close family friend who got into a car accident on Yesler in Seattle, and her car was totaled. She's an older Black woman, and she went to the hospital. They didn't even give her x-rays. They gave her no x-rays, gave her ibuprofen. She had all kind of pain that she was describing, and they literally just sent her home, and she could barely move. I literally just went grocery shopping for her to get her some food and stuff because she's not leaving the house. And it's like, this is how they treat us. This is how they treat us. And then everybody gets confused when we don't trust them, or everybody gets confused when they see the polls that say that Black folks don't trust the vaccine. But I don't think it's specific to the vaccine. I think it's specific to the industry as a whole. And until somebody steps out to really try to bridge this gap, Big O was saying this during the protest. We need the leaders to lead. Where are the leaders? And that's how I feel in this whole situation right here. Where are the actual leaders, the actual people that know the science, that can step out and be the bridge between the Black community and the medical profession? Until we have that, we're always going to have this gap.
Man, listen, it's one of those situations where, well, let me back up. I think that's why I'm so irritated and annoyed that Kamala Harris got her vaccine at United Medical Center. And that medical center doesn't even have a neonatal unit. Do you know how much violence is striking my community? We don't even have a level 3 trauma center. Like, you can't get hurt and go to United Medical Center to get treatment. Do you know how long their triage is? I actually pulled the board records myself. I went through all of the board minutes for 5 years for United Medical Center myself to do to pull up a case study on the hospital. People are waiting hours to be seen by a physician. Hours. If you're sick, hurt, in pain, dying, you don't have hours. When I got into a car accident, probably 3 minutes away from United Medical Center, and it was a head-on collision. And when I got in the ambulance, I told them, do not take me to United Medical Center. And I went 30 minutes up the road just because I didn't want to go to a hospital in my own neighborhood. And that's not okay. And so our local officials are doing more to kind of give us a better hospital. It's in the making as of now. But to watch Kamala Harris talk about the disparities in the community, in a community that so often is overlooked. What are you going to do for this community that is so often overlooked? You're sitting here and you're getting a vaccine that people don't even have access to right now. What are we talking about? We don't even if somebody said, you know what, despite all of the kind of paranoia and, deep trauma, wounds of people, not wanting to be vaccinated. Let's take that off the table. They couldn't even go to United Medical Center right now to go get that vaccine. They couldn't even go up the street to get the vaccine. You can't even, if you have a gunshot wound, you can't go to United Medical Center. If you are pregnant, you cannot go to United Medical Center. So don't come to the hood. Don't pull up in the hood and put on this whole red carpet show, song, and dance, and then get back in your SUV and your limo and ride uptown. Don't do it. Don't do it. Not in my neighborhood. Not in my neighborhood. I'm not with it. So it was just so out of touch. I mean, it was out of touch. And, you know, I am a huge fan of Kamala. I'm not going to say I'm a huge fan. I am a fan of the Black girl magic that is Kamala Harris. And I don't like the dog and pony show. That's what I'm going to say. And so with the celebritizing of just everything that's going on, just stop. Leave it to the medical professionals. That's who we want to hear from. Let's get more people enrolled into Obamacare. Let's get people more access to healthcare. Let's get people able to be seen for their pre-existing conditions. Let's get people treatment for their diabetes. Let's get people treatment for their high blood pressure. Let's get people treatment for all of their other ailments first before we start talking about giving people these vaccines for COVID. Because what it does say about the vaccine is that even if you have an immune deficiency disease, if you get the vaccine, it doesn't say that you're less susceptible of living through COVID. So it's just, I don't know. It's apples and oranges at this point. But let's not do any more photo ops at United Medical Center. Let's just start there. That's pretty simple, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Dora had a really good comment that I was curious about.
Hey, Dora.
Yeah, hi, Dora. The Black Coronavirus Task Force. Yo, I've never heard of this, and I'll definitely have to look into it. And I am curious what their take is on the vaccine. So maybe we can do a little research, and we'll come back next week. And if we find something, we'll let y'all know.
True. Okay. Well, it's on my list.
Thanks,
Dora. On my list. Anyway, moving on, let's talk a little bit about the culture. We do have some good news, and I think this is something really that should be celebrated. Master P and Baron Davis are in conversations with Adidas to purchase Reebok. So that is a boss power move. Let's go ahead and run that clip.
Percy Miller, better known as music icon Master P, and our very own Reggie Wade. Percy, let me get back to you. So you have made a play for Reebok. Why now?
I just feel like Reebok has a lot of equity still in that brand. And if that company is Black owned, I feel like these guys have tried. But if the majority of the ownership is African American, that we could do more with this brand. And also we can give opportunities for other designers. I feel like the brand needs to be made cool again. And I think that we have the plan to make this happen.
Percy, let me run some stats by you real quick, because I was shocked to find this too. So Reebok is owned by Adidas. They have been for some time.
Yes.
Now, Adidas has had knocks on its lack of diversity internally and even externally. You know, on their executive board is only 5 white males. On their supervisory board, there are 16 people. They have 11 white males and 5 white women. Now that you have gotten internally inside of Adidas, you've talked to them, you've looked at Reebok, you have kicked the tires. How big is that diversity problem in Reebok right now?
I mean, not only in Reebok, but in so many brands. I mean, African Americans spend more money on tennis shoes. And I feel like it's time to add diversity as ownerships in this business. But it's also time to be able to take the control and show other African Americans that it's time to open the doors. We strong together.
Yo, Percy, Master P, yo, he is dope. He is dope. When we talk about No Limit, he's one of the people that puts the D in diversify your assets. Master P is a boss and should be highly celebrated. I think he also played in the NBA when he was like 18 or something like that, right? Okay, was he like that? I don't know. I never looked at any clips. Was he any good?
He was good. He was good. He had some tryouts. He played on some summer league teams. He actually can play. It's crazy.
And to think about the level of talent just in Black people, period. You played in the NBA. You were a superstar in terms of a hip hop artist. You had your own record label. Yeah. Now you're like, he owns Rap Snacks. He has a bunch of different restaurants and stuff like that. Like he really
pancakes. He got the pancake mix and the rice. They got rid of Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's, and Master P slid right He slid right in there.
Yes, he did. Master P, it's no limit, literally. So I'm all about this power move.
I love Master P. If this is real and he buys Adidas, I would definitely go get me a couple pairs. I'm a little afraid to get excited, just a little bit. And the only reason I'm afraid to get excited is because when we found out in Seattle that Sean Kemp was opening a dispensary, that was about to be like the Black-owned marijuana dispensary. I was hella excited. Yo, it was COVID. I was about to go to the grand opening and everything. And then I get the email from O, and we find out that white folks own it. And they were just making Sean Kemp the face of it. I think Sean Kemp had like a 10% stake. So with this Reebok thing, as long as Master P is like a majority owner, I'm on board. I don't want to be lied to like that again. Like I don't want to see, because the sell price is $2.4 billion. And I have no idea what Master P is worth, but that's a big ticket. So I would assume that he's going to have more investors. Now he could have black investors. Master P has created a hell of a lot of millionaires. So I'm sure that he has people in his circle with money. He's bringing on Baron Davis. So they're going to have some basketball past as well. I just really want this to be the real thing. I want this to really be black owned. Black people own the majority there, and then we can celebrate. Then I'm buying stock, all that.
Listen, well, first of all, Master P is valued at, his net worth is like 200 million, so he's got that dough cheese. But here's why you can get excited, because regardless of the deal, if the deal gets done or not, at least they have a seat at the table. And so oftentimes you hear that saying, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. And I think it's still such a power move and a power play. It's a teachable moment for Black entertainers and Black athletes, just Black professionals, period, to say, this is actually something that can be achieved. We are a culture that does really buy into sneakers. And I think Reebok had, back in the day, you think about when they had the pump. You remember when Reebok had that pump shoe, and how Allen Iverson was somebody that was signed to their brand, and he really amplified the brand. So Reebok, I'm not going to say they took advantage of Black people, but Black people supported Reebok back in the day, and Black people infused themselves into a lot of these different products. And so if we can have this be a Black-owned business, imagine if Michael Jordan owned Nike. I don't know if he has shares in Nike or not, but imagine if Black people own Nike. Black people, we kill each other over these sneakers. And so this is something that the way that Master P has kind of talked about it, and also Baron Davis, I don't want to leave him out, is that he's basically looking at this as a teachable moment. And he's saying, listen, we have an opportunity to take a brand that is dying, that they're saying it's valued at $2.4 billion. He said he's absolutely not buying it at that, because it's not really, he doesn't see the value in that. I think he made mention of something around 500 million, which is still, it's a lot of dough cheese right there. You feel me? So they're going to have to come to the table with some money. But, he's just saying that he's really focusing on having Reebok turn into a lifestyle brand and allowing this cohort of Black entertainers and professionals come in and say, okay, you're a fashion designer, come through and let's bring you out a clothing line through Reebok. Okay, you're a basketball player, let's have your shoe come out through this line. Okay, you're I think it's going to be more than just sneakers. I think it's going to be more than just like a sports brand. I think it's going to be a full lifestyle brand. And I think we're going to see a lot of great things coming from Reebok should the deal get done. I want to talk a little bit about this all white board. There's 16 members on the board, and you got 11 white men and 5 white women or something like that.
That was for Adidas.
Master P made a good point in that there's so many brands and organizations and companies that have no diversity at their team. And it goes back to the saying, if you don't have a seat at the table, you are absolutely on the menu. And so we as Black people, it's time for us to take our culture back. There's a lot of cultural appropriation, and Black people are cool, and they are taking, Master P even said, he was like, we want to make the brand cool again. That is just something that we uniquely do in our culture. And I don't want to sound like it's not something that can be done with other races, and I don't want to make anybody feel segregated or segment the community. But to really amplify Black culture a little bit, there's just a little je ne sais quoi that we can bring to that level of culture. And we've seen it back in the day how there was kind of like, how do we merge the hip hop scene with music, or merge music with entertainment, merge entertainment with sports. And, there's so many leaders in those industries. Why can't we pioneer something like this? So shout out to Master P. He's a mogul. I don't know much about Baron Davis. I know that he's a commentator.
Wendy, you're right. Wendy said Master P has never been a black-faced businessman or entertainer. And you're absolutely right. And I think that that's why I wanted to be excited again. Even after the Sean Kemp fiasco, one thing you could always say about Master P is that he's owned everything that he's done. From the music to the movies to like all of the brands, like whether it worked out or not worked out, he's always the owner. Like he's never just like jumped out and been the face of something that he didn't own. He's always been about ownership. And that definitely does excite me. So shout out to Master P. I'm behind him. I've always been behind him. I don't know if y'all seen I Got the Hookup 2 yet, but yeah.
Dang, that's a throwback. That's a super throwback.
Yeah. I love Master P. I always have.
Make him say, oh. Nah, I'm kidding. Nah, but yeah, I think it's dope either way. I really appreciate them having these open conversations. A lot of times when you're negotiating at the table, you don't publicize it. You don't bring it to the forefront. So I think it's going to be, really dope to kind of have more people kind of weigh in, so they can know where it's going to be. But I'm looking forward to a good deal being closed. I think, if it doesn't make money, it won't make sense. So don't buy a dime grand. Fairy E. Lock Mother, my homegirl Egypt, she said, me too. She's excited about it too. I think if they're able to make this happen, it's going to be all great things. Quick question though, about the Sean Kent comment. Our homie Leon, he said, this seems different from the Sean Kent weed store. Let me ask, just for point of clarity, the dispensary that we're talking about, that's the one that's in the CD?
I think it's downtown.
Okay. So I wasn't, you guys, I'm from Seattle. I stay in DC now. So I try to stay up with what's going on out there. Marijuana is barely legalized here in DC. I mean, it's legalized, but it's not like it is at home. So
it was a thing, yo. Like he had Gary Payton come out. Yeah, Leon said it's downtown. I haven't been since I found out that it's not Black owned. I haven't supported it, but yeah, they put Sean Kemp as the face of it. They did the grand opening, had Gary Payton come down, and we was on because we had the Black owned weed shop, and it was Sean Kemp that owned it, and it was like, oh yeah. Just to find out that he had a 10% share, and it was some white dudes that own hella weed shops, and it's just white folks making more money for white folks.
And not to go off topic, but I feel like Black people need to have more capital when it comes to the marijuana industry. We've been locked up generation after generation after generation for the distribution of marijuana, but then we can't even jump out here and get a dispensary. We can't even get licensed to get a dispensary. We can't get in the game, and we started the game. Come on now. I mean, that's just absolutely ludicrous. So anyway, I digress. We won't jump too far into that, but maybe that's something we'll dive into if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, I think, before we move on to our next topic, this is probably a good time to take a quick break, grab a snack. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations. Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website to whereweconverge.com/donate and subscribe. You click on the Patreon link and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, want to thank you for all your support.
And we are back to our show, Clapback Culture. I'm Jules Jessie, and this is my homie, Mike Davis. What's up?
Hey, y'all.
So everybody's still in. I hope you guys are still tuned in. I was looking at some of the comments, and I don't want to go back too far, but Miss Wendy Glenn, she said the government is just beginning to build diversity in executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government. It needs to start there, period. And she's made that comment when we were talking about diversifying a lot of these organizations and these boards. It's crazy, the level of setback, like that we just do not have a seat at the table. And I guess that rolls into our next segment about, criminal justice and criminal justice reform. We did see that the charges for Tamir Rice, the officers in that murder, were not charged. And so we got a clip, so we'll play the clip.
2 Cleveland police officers will not face federal charges in the shooting death of 12-year-old Tamir Rice, an encounter that helped galvanize the Black Lives Matter movement. Video from the November 2014 incident shows Officer Timothy Lohman shooting Rice seconds after Lohman and Officer Frank Garnback arrived on scene. Rice was holding a pellet gun. The officers say they mistook the toy for a real gun. We spoke to the boy's mother, who says her son deserves justice.
Now listen, so I'm just appalled right now and disappointed and hurt.
Samaria Rice says the Justice Department's decision to not prosecute the officers for her son Tamir Rice's death is inexcusable and unjust.
I should have an indictment and a conviction for my 12-year-old son.
The 2014 shooting was caught on camera outside a Cleveland recreation center. A 911 caller had alerted police about a, quote, guy pointing a gun at people and said the person was probably a juvenile and the gun was probably fake. That information was never transmitted to the officers who responded. One opened fire on 12-year-old Rice seconds after they arrived. In statements following the shootings, both officers said they thought Rice was pulling out a real gun from his waistband and claimed they gave him multiple commands to show his hands. In a statement Tuesday, the Justice Department said prosecutors found insufficient evidence to support federal criminal charges against the officers. They say the video is grainy, shot from a distance, adding that Tamir's hands are not visible during the relevant time.
It was clear as day to me. My son was scared when they rolled up on him. They didn't even give him a chance to respond.
Rice's lawyer, Subodh Chandra, says the video tells the whole story.
He rushed upon a child, got out of the car, and fired his weapon immediately. And you can tell that from the video. There's no pausing, there's no deliberation, there's no calling out warnings, there's nothing.
In 2015, a state grand jury also declined to indict the officers, sparking protests around the country.
The Rice family, not only have they lost a child, which is bad enough, but they have been deprived of a fair process time and again.
America will never give me no closure, or any other family that has to go through this if they don't break this system.
Officer Lohman was fired nearly 3 years after Rice's death for lying on his application. The family is demanding more information after an October New York Times report that DOJ supervisors denied career prosecutors' 2017 request to use a grand jury to gather evidence in their investigation.
It's just still so hard when you think about that. And seeing that poster for Tamir Rice, 2002 to 2014, 12 years old.
12, that's what I was about to say.
Short.
12 years old.
You know, in 2014 was also when Eric Garner was killed in New York, and Michael Brown in Ferguson.
Yeah, really started galvanizing the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yo, I mean, yeah, that's a tough one, especially when, I try not to even watch a lot of these videos anymore, but I remember that video specifically because it happened so fast. Like, they literally pulled up, hopped out, and shot. There was no, I don't even believe that they asked to see hands, because there was no time to even show hands. Like, it was immediate. It was immediate, and it was like kid playing in a park outside of a rec center. It just goes to show, man, you can't really be black anywhere. And they roll. Yeah, it's tough. I recently wrote a couple of stories for the Emerald about Breonna Taylor, and in that case, and just kind of looking at it from a legal standpoint and just the different ways that the legal system is designed to not give us justice in these cases. And I think that this is another prime example of that. He was shot on video. You have the tape. You reviewed the tape. And we're talking about grainy visuals, and you can't see his hands, but we're ignoring how fast the officer shot. Like, where's de-escalation?
Yeah.
Does it just not exist? Do we not do de-escalation when we're talking about young black males? So it's just there's so many layers to this, and it's horrible. And I feel bad for his mom. I mean, all these years later, and she still has to go through this, and she has to relive this over and over again.
And she has to watch it play out again right before her eyes with, with Breonna Taylor and, Ahmaud and so many others. It's crazy that what we're asking for is an indictment, right? But I think, to your point, where is de-escalation, and why is that at least on the table, talking about de-escalation? There were so many things that were dropped in this. You're thinking about the transmission of the 911 call and the fact that someone said, he looks like a juvenile and it looks like a toy gun, and that not being transmitted. The ball is dropped there. And so how are we not penalizing or, double checking, communicating, having some type of oversight and compliance on that, having some type of regulatory oversight on that, and then we talk about the officers coming on their scene. We don't have any body cams. I mean, it was 2014, body cams were definitely in effect. We don't have anything that's up close and personal. Number 3, we don't have a de-escalation technique. We see that happened within seconds. How are we even if he was 18, 19, 20, 25, 35, 55, you don't even give somebody an opportunity to show you their hands. And even if they show you their hands, what is that? Does that make you feel more safe? I mean, the officers are still in the car when they pull up. So it's like, you can't even pull up to the side of the street and just roll down your window and be like, assess the situation. You could have sat and watched and assessed the situation before you pulled up. It wasn't like he had a gun drawn to anybody. There wasn't anything that caused for so much alarm to make such an erratic decision.
And where's the accountability in these particular cases? It hurts that the police have jobs where when they make mistakes, people can lose their lives. If the caller said that they thought that it was probably a kid playing with a toy, and that information wasn't relayed to the responding officers, where's the accountability in that? I keep thinking back to Breonna Taylor as well. Like, if you're doing a warrant on the wrong apartment and somebody gets killed, how is there no accountability in that? There's no other job in this country where you could come to work and accidentally kill somebody and then continue as if nothing happened. And it's like police want to be heroes. They want us to look at them like they're heroes and they're doing all this heroic work, yet they can't even be accountable. And when they do things like this, they want to come to us with human error. We made a mistake. That's a really human thing, hero. So maybe you should take it down a peg. And actually, it makes me mad just thinking about it, to be honest.
And one of the comments I forgot about this fact, they cuffed and put Tamir's mom in the back of the cop car because she was mad that they shot and killed her son. Can you even imagine? Can you even imagine that? Like,
I can. I've been in America for 30 years, man. I can imagine that.
Listen, it wouldn't be 2020 if there was charges brought up on the police officers involved in this tragic and traumatic situation. It's daunting, and I feel like we have so much work ahead of us in terms of really turning the corner on criminal justice reform and seeing that there is a sense of balance, that there is a sense of balance in law and order, Because it doesn't feel like that right now. You know, I'm going through my own personal experience right now. You guys know that my husband is incarcerated, and, you know, I'll just share something personal with you guys. His attorney said that she misunderstood that my husband wanted to be involved in the proceedings. And so she filed a motion on his behalf, and he didn't even get an opportunity to see the motion that went to the courts. And so, you know, of course, me being me, I wrote a letter to her, and I said, you know, if nothing else, what you should take from this moving forward is that you should not only allow your clients to be involved, but you should also encourage them to be involved in the legal process. And I think that there's just such a profile, a cast, a wall that's built up on people who are in the justice system that it's almost like they're just moving like a machine. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what needs to be done more, but it's a freaking privilege to be an attorney. It's a privilege to be a judge. It's a privilege to be a police officer. And so if you take the opportunity, if you feel like that's the role that you want to take when you grow up and you decide that this is the job that I want to take, it's a lifestyle. And so you better believe that people are going to hold you accountable for your actions. And I think that people need to uphold that system a little bit stronger. I mean, it's just unreal, just the levels of it. You know what I'm saying? To see it from the beginning of the police, from 911 all the way up. You know what I'm saying? And so we're missing it. We're missing it. We're just absolutely missing it. Yeah. Can you see that? No. Leon, he says, shout out to Leon. We really appreciate you guys all doing these comments and really having discussion with us. We were going to do the show early, but we don't like to do the show if you guys are not involved. And so you guys are you guys are our checks and balances, right? We want to make sure that your voice is heard. We like to have conversations with each other back and forth, but we don't want this to just be a dialogue with us. We really want to involve you guys because you guys are our community. You guys are our culture. You guys support us. So shout out to people who watch the show regularly. Leon, we know you do. Dora, we know you do. Shout out. There's a couple people on here that I know you guys watch the show often. So we really appreciate that support. But yeah, back to the point. I mean, no charges filed on Tamir Rice's case. Not surprised.
Not surprised.
Charges, no indictment for Breonna Taylor. Not surprised.
You need more than representation. I get where you're going with that, Dominique, but representation isn't enough. Representation isn't going to change these laws. I mean, when you look at Breonna Taylor, it was a black man that put her away. His name, Daniel Cameron. I think that was his name. Yeah. I can't remember his name. But yeah, and to be clear, I don't think that he could have came with charges in the Breonna Taylor case because the way that the laws in Kentucky were written, those officers had every right to kill her. So it's not representation alone that's going to get that change. That's a part of it, but we need people that actually care about the community to end up in those places, not people that's there to smile and go along with the status quo. Because we do got some black people in some places, but here we are, 2020, and no charges in the Tamir Rice case after all these years.
I think he could have absolutely brought charges. He could have. Could they have stuck when they went to court?
That's the thing.
That is the question.
Also, to not defend him, he didn't present all of the evidence. Like, there's so many layers to that. And
that's definitely discrediting him, because how do you go into a grand jury and don't present all the facts? Like, that's crazy.
That's your job, bro. That's your job. And there's it's only in cases with police officers that things like that happen. Let Black Mike Davis go outside right now and commit a crime. You think the prosecutor is going to be like, we don't have enough evidence, we're going to leave it on you, jury, to find? No, he's going to come with all the ducks in a row to send me to jail. When it's the police, now we're half stepping. So, like, I mean, Yeah. We need more than representation. We definitely need more than that.
Am I smelling a little white privilege coming up? I think that moves us right into our next segment. Aunt Becky, Lori Loughlin, was released from prison. So that's so crazy to me, son. How do you pay? I think she paid almost $500,000 to get her daughter admitted into college, and she served 2 months for that. And she's home, really less than 2 months.
Yes.
It's really less than 2 months. Her husband is still locked up, but if it had been Black Mike Davis, that would not be the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy to me.
And Julia, you sent this clip to me that's up right now, and this is what I thought about as soon as we heard about Aunt Becky was Tanya. I mean, she was homeless and tried to send her kid to school, and it says in a better district, but I mean, she was homeless and she wanted her son to go to a good school, and she got 5 years in jail.
This is crazy. Let me tell you guys why I sent this. So first of all, Felicity Huffman, she also was booked the same time that Lori Loughlin, Aunt Becky, the same time. It was the same scandal, right? And so when I thought about Aunt Becky getting released, you know, Full House, y'all, but and we just gonna call her Aunt Becky because I think she should be a Becky right now, right? So when Miss Tanya was arrested and charged for, you know, redistricting her whole child, her 6-year-old child, to go to a better school, number one, she was deemed homeless at the time. She didn't have a permanent address. So when she enrolled her child into school, she decided, I'm going to put my child in the best school. You have these privileged white 1%ers getting away with essentially these same crimes. Felicity Huffman, you paid $15,000 to an SAT administrator so that your child could get into a better school. You see what I'm saying? So what is the parallel difference in that? And here's the caveat with that. Do you know that after she was arrested, Tanya McDowell, the Black mother, after she was arrested, she was then, I'll say, caught up in selling drugs to like an undercover. And so there was like a whole sting operation. And here's why they're speculating. Here's the theory behind that. They're saying, okay, first of all, she's not the poster board for like the best mom of the year. I'm not going to say that. You know, she was doing what she was doing, but at the same time, the crimes are still the same. And so rather than saying, okay, the courts are saying, dang, we look so stupid for locking up this lady, for putting her child in a better school where the dropout rates are high, you know, the access to, you know, good education, reading levels, blah, 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 are lackluster, they're low. We look crazy. So why don't we do a little bit more investigation in on the mom who's not the ideal candidate, and see what's going on with her. And she kind of got caught up in a sting operation. So in addition to being charged with redistricting her child, she got caught up on these drug charges. So that's crazy. Do you think if Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin and her husband are getting caught up for scandals like that, what else have they done in business? Do we have a sting operation set in place to investigate their taxes? Do we have something that's checking into their banking? Do we have something that's set in place to check into their investments and their assets? I mean, where are we
at birth? They know the folks who are going to be classified as criminals. We know who gets the slap on the wrist and who gets the book thrown at them. And I'm seeing that we also have a clip here. So, can you run the clip, please?
Breaking news this morning. Actress Lori Loughlin released from prison this morning after serving nearly 2 months behind bars.
Eva Pilgrim joins us with the latest. Eva, good morning.
Good morning, Mary. Lori Loughlin actually reported to prison early, and as of today, her time is served. The actress is now expected to go home. This morning, Lori Loughlin is a free woman. The former Full House star released from this Northern California facility today, just in time for New Year's. Loughlin reported to the Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California on October 30th. The facility is currently experiencing a COVID outbreak affecting over 180 inmates and 3 staff members. But her team telling ABC News, Lori is in isolation, so she is in no danger. The rules are that when you enter, you go into isolation for 2 weeks, and when you exit, you do the same.
There's a way forward where she can bank on the good graces of what she did before. There is an element in the public that is eternally and always ready to forgive.
Anything to say, Lori? Loughlin was sentenced to 2 months in prison after pleading guilty for her role in the Varsity Blues college admissions scandal. She and her husband, fashion designer Massimo Giannoli, admitted to paying roughly $500,000 to consultant Rick Singer's foundation to get their daughters into UFC. One of them, YouTube personality Olivia Jade.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel.
Olivia Jade speaking out for the first time about the scandal earlier this month on Jada Pinkett Smith's Red Table Talk.
I'm definitely ready to address some things. It's been hard, I think, for anybody, no matter what the situation is. You don't want to see your parents go to prison.
Yeah.
But also I think it's necessary for us to move on and move forward.
Co-host and Pinkett Smith's mother, Adrienne Banfield Norris, pressing Olivia Jade about white privilege, something Olivia Jade says before the scandal she never even realized she had.
When you come to the table with something like this, it's like, child, please.
Right. No, I get that.
And you guys will go on and you'll be okay and you will live your life.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's so many of us that it is not going to be that situation.
So what have you learned specifically?
To know, like, okay, Olivia, the fact that you were on YouTube and you were saying stuff like, I don't want to go to school, I just want to go party. The fact that you even could say those things just shows how fortunate you were, that you didn't have to worry about that, that you knew you were going to be okay without it.
Right.
And that sits with me and makes me cringe, and it's embarrassing that I ever said those types of things. And not only said them, but edited it, uploaded it, and then saw the response to realize it was wrong.
Right.
There was no like malicious intent behind it.
Right.
I was never trying to hurt anybody or say those things to brag about my life. It was just, I was oblivious.
Now, Loughlin's husband, Massimo Giannoli, is serving 5 months behind bars. He is still in prison.
2 Americas. There's 2 Americas. There's one where we live and there's one where they live. They brought her home for New Year's and let that black doctor die before Christmas.
For New Year's.
Oh, man,
I want to talk about baby Becky on Red Table Talk. Shout out to Jada Pinkett and her mom and daughter. I do like the Red Table Talk. I think that they really touch home on a lot of things, and I'm glad to see that they didn't let her off the hook, and that they did ask her some uncomfortable questions and made her kind of own up to what truly is white privilege. And she didn't even know. Like she had no idea. And I think she made a good point. She said, not only did I say it, I edited it, I uploaded it, and I didn't even know it was wrong until somebody pointed it out. And it's really sad and disheartening that you get all the way to the end and you still don't see the errors of your ways. And it's not, I don't think that people are bad or bad people for not understanding what white privilege is. I just think that is really disheartening that you don't even take the opportunity to figure out what it is when this is a topic of conversation that comes up so often and so much more often, really, even in this year. And so we really need to, hold those people accountable. You have this inherited privilege, and it's something that needs to be addressed. It's something that needs to be understood, and it's something that needs to be taken very seriously, because as a person who has loved ones that are incarcerated, to watch, Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin and her husband just kind of get off so clean and clear when a black man and a black mother wouldn't be treated the same way is just it absolutely breaks my heart, and it makes me upset, makes me angry. And it makes me have so much distrust for the criminal justice system. And, I don't want to vilify those people who have also, committed crimes, but I'd like to see that people jump out here and do something with that privilege. Becky, when she comes out, she's going to get a book deal. She's going to get a Lifetime special. She's going to get a movie on this whole entire scandal. And when my husband come home, he's going to have a difficult time getting a job. He's going to have a difficult time starting a business. He's going to have a different experience as he moves back into society. And I think that people really need to check that. And we need to make some changes immediately.
You said it. I agree with everything you said. I think that's a way to transition us out of here.
But that's 2020, right?
Man, that's how this is the show we're ending 2020 with.
We have to. It wouldn't be 2020 if we didn't end it with the truth. I mean, that's why we have this platform, so that we can talk and have these uncomfortable conversations and discussions, with our brilliant audience, that the truth is the truth. You know what I'm saying? And, I wanted to share one of my New Year's resolutions with you guys before we jump off here. One of my New Year's resolutions, and not even resolution, but something that I'm going to roll into this year is really setting boundaries and not allowing my talents to go for free. And I think oftentimes we in the Black community so often feel like, if I do this, and if I do this for free, or if I do this to kind of get an edge up, then it's going to put me in this better place, when really I need to understand that I already got the power in myself, and I don't need to sit at anybody's table, but I can make my own table. And so that's what I'm going into 2021 with, is that I'm going to set these boundaries for myself, in my personal life, in my business, in my friendships, in my associates. I'm going to learn how to say no a little bit better. I'm going to learn how to say no, thank you. And again, I'm going to make my own table, and I'm going to bring my own feast, and I'm going to bring my own friends. And I'm going to be just how, Master P is kind of sculpting this idea of like, let's purchase Reebok and make it like this, because we already are doing this, and we don't need anybody else to help us do it. And so that's what I'm jumping into 2021 with.
Hey, I like that. See, now we're back to a high note. I like that. See, that's how we end.
We'll end it on a high note. What about you, Mike Davis? What are you looking forward to in 2021? What are you like? What's your, what you going into?
Man, honestly, I'm happy that 2020 is over, but 2020 really wasn't all that bad for me. I know it was bad for the world, and I know where we are, but I mean, on a personal note, we got the show. This is going good. So I'm looking forward to 2021. I'm looking forward to building. I love your resolution, knowing our worth, because that's hard sometimes, especially being Black and working in media. It is sometimes hard to know my worth. So yeah. I think I'm gonna piggyback off that and just keep pushing, keep telling the truth, keep coming here. Hopefully y'all keep joining us. We need those donations, Converge. We're making it happen, but anything helps. But yeah, I'm looking for 2021.
Yep. So look, guys, we're a little bit past the time. We love you. We thank you for tuning in. Happy New Year. We'll see you on the other side of 2021, and make sure you know your worth and add tags. That's the 5 hours.
Peace, y'all.